Today's video is sponsored by 12, featuring a dozen original and unexpected short stories about passion and legacy, and Dropping the Belt, an exciting writing experiment featuring 3 anonymous ghostwriters and 1 hilarious professional wrestling story. Check out these 2 new books from author David Farrell, available at Amazon now.
Welcome to Pod Me If You Can. This time it's Smiley Face, the 2007 film starring Anna Faris and John Krasinski.
Pod Me If You Can. Movie reviews.
Jane, played by Anna Faris, is an all-day stoner. She eats her roommate's cupcakes and then finds out they were full of weed. Today is a bad day to be stoned for Jane, who has to pay an electricity bill in person, go to an audition, and now bake replacement cupcakes for her roommate. Will she be able to do it all? This film is 85 minutes, and it feels much longer than that. It's a series of really disjointed scenes, nothing really connects at all, which makes for a very frustrating film experience. If nothing matters, and nothing connects, then in the scheme of things, what are we doing here? This is all just a series of random things that happen to Jane. One of my major problems with the film is that she ingests all of these cupcakes at the beginning of the film, and they're full of weed, which makes her really high. But I feel like that high wouldn't last the entirety of the day. It's not as if she continues to smoke weed throughout the day, or has more occasions where she ingests weed, accidentally or on purpose. She remains that stoned the entire film, and it doesn't seem realistic. Even she has a nap at one point in the back of a sausage van. We have no real affection for our lead character in this film. She does nothing to endear us to her. She eats her cupcakes from her roommates, labeled clearly in the fridge. But just she has no motivation. She has nothing to achieve. Now apparently she's an actress, and she has successfully gotten ads previous to this, but we don't get to see them during the course of the movie. Everything is throwaway exposition. She has a boyfriend, for example, and he breaks up with her on the phone. There is no moment of triumph, there is no redemption, and she achieves nothing during the course of the film. I found the direction of this film quite lazy, and every shot felt about 4 seconds too long, whether it was at the beginning or the end of the shot. You could count about 4 seconds out where you would think that an editor would have trimmed. As well, they have this frustrating text that comes up on screen whenever she's typing or thinking or trying to stick to her plan. There's one part where they put text on the screen that basically explains something like the audience is made up of idiots. It's 11:47 now, she was supposed to make her appointment at 11:30, she's 17 minutes late, and that flashes on the screen at us. Also, putting up text to explain the entire relationships that she had with people was a lot to take in. The other characters in the film don't really have story arcs, so everything they appear for just feels, there to service her as a character. For example, she gets out of a car on the highway, and a female riding a motorbike stops and picks her up and takes her to Venice Beach where she's going, just because somebody has to get her there. And that feels like what everybody in this film is doing. They're helping her get from point A to B. Brevin, played by John Krasinski, is supposed to be in love with Jane. She asks him for a ride, and he takes her to the dentist on the way to Venice Beach, where she needs to get to. John Krasinski must hate this movie. He's barely in it, really. He's just plays what would be her love interest if this was more fleshed out. He plays a character that looks like the before shot on Beauty and the Geek, except there's no makeup and no makeover, and no moment where she says, if you wear your hair this way, you might be a bit cooler, or there's no moment where she sees him for the handsome person he is, or has any depth to his character. He's basically playing a nerd. The way they set up that he's a stereotypical nerd is he carries collectible toys, has them in his room, and seems interested in science fiction. The ultimate shower fantasy he has basically involves the two of them playing a game, rather than doing it. It felt like the symptoms of weed were all over the place too, because she hallucinates things like she's on LSD, including the smiley face that the title of the film comes from. She imagines a smiley face in the sky, which I'm not sure really is something that people on weed do. There's one scene where she attempts to drive, and when she does, everything behind her in the car starts spinning, and there's decent use of visual effects and audio effects to make you feel like she's under the influence of something. But this could have continued through the entire film and been kind of a running joke as to how, affected by the drugs she was. It felt like the camera didn't even tilt at any point to, show that things were off-center. The direction was very static. Heaps of people appear in this film, and none of them are as funny as they could have been. Jane Lynch plays a casting director. Jim Rash is an assistant. Danny Masterson is her roommate. Ben Falcone plays her agent. Brian Posen plays a bus driver. Rick Hoffman plays a guy on the bus. Jayma Mays is an actress auditioning. John Cho and Danny Trejo are sausage delivery men. And William Zabka is a prison guard. Only Adam Brody, who people mostly know from the OC, made a small impression as the drug dealer, but honestly, it was very meaningless in the scheme of things. One final sort of nitpicky flaw about this film is that the roommate, Danny Masterson, is friends with Brevin, the John Krasinski character. So if they're friends, the weed cupcakes were ideally for them to take to a science fiction convention. That's what the sign says. So the two of them would have taken them to the science fiction convention and gotten stoned. However, it feels like the John Krasinski character Brevin is too straight-laced to, be getting stoned. He doesn't even seem to recognize the fact that Anna Faris's character is stoned, which is really frustrating through the course of the film. He doesn't know why she's acting the way she is, even though for every moment he's been around at their apartment, she has appeared stoned. It's just unbelievable that those two characters, the roommate and Brevin, would be getting high together when they seem so judgmental of her. It boggles my mind that this film was made at all. It feels like you would read the script and say, okay, it's a good first draft, but nothing connects and everything is just standalone scenes, it's just skits. Feels like maybe the second half of this film wouldn't have been made and they just cut together the first 85 minutes with all the longest takes possible. There's no redemption for any characters and it ends very badly. I won't spoil it, but it's just silly. The standard defense for this is probably going to be that you should be high when watching Smiley Face. And I didn't do that. So if you got high and watched Smiley Face, or if it's much, much funnier, let me know in the comments.
Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Check out our podcast at www.podmeifyoucan.com.